Today we're going to combine two things that we've been doing for the past couple weeks, and we're going to solve equations by factoring. There'll be one more day of new material tomorrow, a review on Wednesday, and your last quiz of the year will be on this Thursday. So the last thing we were doing last week was solving equations using the zero product property, which says if two things multiply, this is x times x plus 18, if they multiply to equal 0, then either one of them is 0 or both are 0. So we could solve this equation by setting each of the factors, the x and the x plus 18, each equal to 0, and then solving the resulting equation. So here I get x is negative 18 and x is 0. Same here, I have 2x minus 3 is one factor, set that equal to 0. X plus 4 is my other factor, set that equal to 0, and then solve each equation. Some of these you may need to do the two steps to solve. You add the 3 over first, and then divide by 2, and you can leave it as a fraction, or in this case, that's also 1.5 exactly, so either way is fine. Here, if I have x plus 4, I subtract the 4 and get x equals negative 4. Today, we're going to combine that to solve quadratic equations by factoring. So a quadratic equation is an equation that can be written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. For us, that a is always going to be 1, so it's going to be x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Some quadratic equations can be solved using the zero product property. In order to do that, you set one side of the equation equal to 0. You factor the quadratic expression like we spent a couple weeks doing. You set each factor equal to 0 and solve. So these last two steps are what you were doing Thursday. The step 2 is what we were doing before that. Here's some examples, and here are the steps on the side. I have x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals 0. Step 1 is make sure one side of the equation is 0. Done. It's already equal to 0. Then I want to factor the quadratic. Quick reminder, we look for numbers that multiply to c and add to b. So factors of 8 that add to negative 6. 1 times 8, 2 times 4. In order to get negative 6, this has to be negative 2 and negative 4. And if they're multiplying to a positive, negative times negative is positive. That works. So this factors to x minus 2, x minus 4 equals 0. Now it looks like the problems that were in the homework on Thursday. You set each factor equal to 0, and then solve. Add the 2 over, x equals positive 2. Subtract the 4 to cancel out the plus 4, x equals negative 4. So we're combining things that we already know how to do. Here's another example. X squared plus 10x plus 24 equals 0. Again, already set equal to 0. I want numbers that multiply to 24. 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 4 times 6, and I missed 3 times 8. The pair that adds up to 10, 4 times 6. So I have x plus 4, x plus 6 equals 0. Set each factor equal to 0 and solve. If it's plus 4, I have to subtract the 4. If it's plus 6, I have to subtract the 6. These have two answers because of this square here, so we can have two different x's. Another couple quick examples, mostly to remind you with the factoring. Here I have x squared plus 9x minus 22 equals 0. It's set equal to 0. Done. Now I need numbers that multiply to negative 22. 1 times 22, 2 times 11. I want them to add up to positive 9. And remember, if they're multiplying to a negative, one is going to be positive and one's going to be negative. 11 minus 2 is 9. So my factors here are x minus 2 and x plus 11. Then I set each factor equal to 0. If it's minus 2, I have to add the 2 to the other side to get x is positive 2. If it's plus 11, I have to subtract 11. I get x equals negative 11. When you're doing your homework, you must show me the factoring form and your solutions. If you can do this step in your head, that is fine, but you have to show the factored form and then the solutions. Here, again, set equal to 0, done. Look for factors of negative 48. 48 has a lot of factors. 1 times 48, 2 times 24, 3 times 16, 4 times 12, 6 times 8, and that is it. I want the pair where I can combine to get negative 13. And again, one of them is going to be positive and one is going to be negative. 3 and 16 are 13 apart from each other. In order to get negative 13, I need 3 minus 16. My factors are x plus 3, x minus 16. I show that factored form. That must be shown. That I can do this work, or you can do it in your head if you figured out the pattern. Set each factor equal to 0 and solve. My answers are x is negative 3, x is positive 16. And again, that step must be shown. So you have to show 2 of these steps. If it helps you to show the middle steps, that's fine. You have a worksheet to do today. We're going to add one tiny step to this tomorrow. Review on Wednesday, quiz on Thursday. That is your last grade of the quarter.